adolescent years are really important because you're preparing them for adulthood as well as dealing with the everyday issues of adolescence. And some of the things that we don't really think about is how their bodies are changing, and even though that's hard for your neurotypical adolescent, for people who are used to a schedule and who are used to liking things the same, which a lot of adolescents with autism have, when they see their body changing, it kind of freaks them out, so to speak. I'm doing the research for both my books, The Autism Spectrum Disorders and The Adolescents on the Autism Spectrum. I found that there really is a difference between the type of autism we're seeing now and the type of autism that existed 20, 30, 40 years ago.
I agree completely.
20, 30, 40 years ago, if 5 children, autistic children, were in a room, 4 of them were the type that were born autistic, and 1 of them was of the type who had regressive autism, which means they develop normally, and then somewhere between 18 months of age and 2 years, they regress. Now you take those same 5 children that you find anywhere, and you will find that 4 of them have the regressive autism, and 1 of them is the type that was born autistic. And that is why research is showing, even though no one agrees as to what causes autism, there is general consensus that it is a genetic predisposition with an environmental factor that comes into play. What that environmental factor is, we don't know, and I'm sure it's different for everyone. There have been stories of children being recovered through biomedical interventions. In fact, I was at the DAN conference a year ago last October when Dr. Bernard Rimland showed, I think there were 6 or 7 of the patients who used to be considered autistic who are no longer considered autistic. So those are children that have been thought to be recovered or cured. But I think we have to be careful because we have to see also over the long term what happens to these children, and also what happens if we stop all the therapies. So I think it's a really good sign that we're finding ways to help some of these children, but again, I think we have to be careful and see in the long run what's happening. The less able end of the spectrum and the more able end of the spectrum share certain commonalities. For example, in speaking with Temple Grandin, she will say sensory issues are the same for all of us, and there are 3 areas that are concerned is communication, but for someone like Temple, who is very able to communicate, she will take things very literally, whereas someone like my son, who is unable to verbally communicate, he would be considered very less able, or I never use the term low functioning because I think it's not a very good one, but and also in areas of social relationships. Someone like Temple, it has taken her a very long time to learn how to act. But she's only acting. She tells me constantly, I don't feel the emotions behind it. The thing that's interesting about Temple is that we've developed a very close friendship over the years. And the last time I saw her, she actually put down her 2 bags, because I was taking her to the airport. She put down her 2 bags and hugged me. And this was someone who the first time that I met her couldn't, be as close to me as you are.
So I guess we're saying
things can always change.